Coming? Pam is out of town, and as is Ray. So, having recognized him as a quorum, I'm going to call the meeting to order of the Fairhope Airport Authority at 4:30. The first order of business is the approval of our minutes for our December 20th, 2016 regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Okay. Note that the minutes have approved. The next thing is a carryover item from, I guess, since this fall, and I'm gonna let Josh talk about it. It's
Right. So
approval of a non-buildable easement for Cedar Creek and Mid-Bay Air hangars.
yes, and so I think everybody's pretty familiar with this, but back in the spring of last year, we talked about some amendments for the leases for Mid-Bay Air and Cedar Creek. And those are really twofold. Number one, we were moving the fuel farms and giving them some additional apron space in front of their hangars, which also increased the rent. And number two, because of the fire code requirements with the city, we had to incorporate, it says here non-buildable easement. I pushed for the language construction buffer. Eric Cortinas was okay with that. I didn't like the easement terminology, but it accomplishes the same thing. And of course, I think as we all know, the purpose of it was so that the tenants would not have to build, a 2-hour fire rated wall within their hangars. And so going forward, I started to negotiate with Morgan for Morgan Stewart for Cedar Creek, and then with the attorney for Mid-Bay Air. And that took some time, and then due to a misunderstanding on my part, when I thought we had it in final order, I sent it to Eric Cortinas, and he said, no, that's not quite what we talked about. So we went back to, not to the drawing board completely, but we had to go revisit it again. And what we finally came up with, and what is in the lease amendments that I've given to Joe, I only have one copy, and I apologize for that, but what we finally have is what I call a 25-foot construction buffer along the common lease boundary between Mid-Bay Air and Cedar Creek. And I know there was some discussion about having to go outside the lease boundaries previously, but the most recent guidance from Eric was that we did not have to go outside the lease boundaries as long as there was a total of 50 feet between the walls for those two hangars. And so what we have hopefully for your approval tonight is the lease amendment that will provide a 50-foot construction buffer, which per Eric Cortinas will allow for this hangar or these hangars to be constructed in a way that meets the city's fire code requirements without any further fire rated wall requirements or anything like that. So
now they're paying for this buffer? Each of them are paying for this buffer?
This no, it's already within their leased area.
Oh, so okay. They are paying for it.
They are paying for it. Yes.
They bought additional easements out front. They bought an additional in front to store their, yes.
On the east side.
On the east side.
Okay, I was just making sure that this wasn't going to just be authority land that wasn't under lease.
No, and there was initially there was some discussion about that, and what Eric had mentioned initially was that I think it was at least 10 or maybe 15 feet outside of the leased area to the north and the south that they would have to have in order to meet that requirement. But as we progressed, he said that as long as we have 50 feet between the hangars. So what we did is each tenant, in essence, agreed to a 25-foot buffer, which they're already paying for under the lease, but it's a non-buildable construction buffer is what I called it, so that there's no vertical structures within that space to meet the fire code requirements.
Which forced them to shift Mid-Bay a little to the north, Cedar Creek a little south, but Eric was okay where they are with the lease line.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah. That's even better than what we talked about.
And going forward, we're going to make the lease plats bigger.
Yes. So when we get to the east side, we'll have we know what this requirement is now, so we're going to build that in before, so we don't have to go back and amend anything. It's going to be
but we're making it cheaper for them to build too, and we're reducing the amount of land we have available for hangars.
That's true.
As opposed to
that's true.
Holding the feet to the fire to build a 2-hour wall
and
getting more hangars.
And I think it could be either or. I mean, if they want to incur the expense.
We could do a higher square foot price or a lower square foot price subject to.
Because they certainly could incur that expense and not, incur the expense of the fire rated wall and not have to, or meet a lesser buffer.
I don't want to kick that idea to the curb
Right.
yet.
Right.
Okay, nice. Okay, all right, any discussion on that? Okay, I want to, do I have a motion that we approve this?
I move.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the construction, the construction easement for Midway and Cedar Creek, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. All right, the next item, approval of the fiber optic easement for the AT&T. With the board's apologies, I just hadn't followed up on that. I think they're in agreement with it. They haven't called me up and said we need to do this, and I think we've got all the issues resolved. But I'd like to table that again for another month. I actually get the final wording. I think for Christmas and some just for me not hounding the guy. We haven't got that easement worked out yet.
But we did make the changes
Yeah.
that were discussed in the board meeting, so that, assuming AT&T is on board with the changes that we presented, we should be good to go.
And the driver of this is Faulkner, and they seem to have kind of run out of steam as far as their IT department. So, I mean, I think it's I don't think we're holding anybody up either. Okay. All right, number 4, update of the status of the East Side construction project. I didn't get my Monday morning briefing this morning. I don't know why. Maybe they took my.
I got one that came late.
Okay.
Yeah, it's out there.
Okay. 27% completion. Was that
I think that's correct.
27% completion? I was out there Friday and took a tour, and they're behind schedule. They only admit they're probably 4 to 5 days behind schedule. But they are now moving about 90 to 100 trucks a day for the next 90 days. A lot of dirt, a lot of construction. They just need good weather to finish. So it's quite. If you haven't been out there and looked at it, it's quite a project. All the drainage is in place. I mean, they're moving forward pretty quickly.
They had about 2.5 weeks of rain there
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
and then Christmas and New Year and all that. But they're also doing the hard part first. So
Yeah,
it'll come together pretty quick.
yeah. But
Came out
anyway,
at 6:02. It was about 5 minutes late. Usually comes at 5:57 in the morning.
but the drainage pond is, like Lake Vince. I mean, there's a big drainage pond out there where all the drainage has been done, and it hadn't really filled up, but it's there.
Can we stock it?
Yeah, we can stock it. we can stock it. Good point. Okay. Okay. The next item is and this is for discussion, but I'd also like to get the sense of where the board is as far as going forward. There's been a lot of discussion in the popular press and some blogs about an independent audit or independent review of the operations of the airport authority. And I feel like we do a pretty good job of running the organization. And what I'd like to do is go on record with the board saying that we welcome that and we would like to go forward to it. I laid out a process to the mayor about looking at the financials over 1 week, looking at all the contracts the next week and what we've looked into the contracts, and then looking at the gut of the FAA actual grants and a third week. So, I mean, just because I'm a volunteer, I don't want to, have to spend 3 weeks doing it. But I think over 3 to 4 weeks, about 40 hours, we could knock it out. But anyway, it's a big process, a big job. I welcome the opportunity to do it because I really think we have a good story to tell, and I'd like to put this thing to bed.
I'd like to put it to bed, but what's different than the annual audit that we have now? We're audited by an independent auditor, are we not?
Blackman, we are included in the city's audit, Department Blackman and Kilgore, but that doesn't seem to stop the call for an independent audit.
Are they not independent?
You're independent with me.
I mean, whatever it takes, but that's fine. I mean, where is the authority going to pay for it?
We're going to set up a budget. And I haven't, I don't know. I mean, we'll certainly negotiate. I mean, we don't have a lot of extra money to
And
pay
then I
for
would ask
it.
the question: what is this audit going to do that HB&K's audit doesn't do?
Only thing I can think of is I'm not sure HB&K looks at the contracts. I mean, I don't know that. I mean, I've never been an audit partner of HB&K. I don't think they look at the contracts, and I know they don't look at the FAA grants.
Okay,
But
but that goes through the engineer.
That
right?
goes to the engineer.
Okay, well, does their auditor, they're probably audited annually, are they audited on those, the grant money that goes to them?
I can't answer
Good
that.
question.
I'm not opposed to it, I just, it's almost reinvent the wheel. I think we're trying to satisfy conspiracy theories that,
Well,
and the lunatics that we shouldn't have to be trying to satisfy.
I would like the airport board to say that we welcome an independent audit, and we'll work for a budget to do it, and we'll participate as fully as we can. That's my motion. Do I have a second?
Joe, I'm all for that, but my question would be, who's the independent auditor? Is it somebody that's handpicked? Is it an accounting firm? Accounting firm's not gonna do us any good on our leases.
Not gonna do anything.
So, just who's it gonna be? That'd be like us approving a contract. And we're gonna spend X number of dollars, but we never put it out for bid, and we don't even know who's gonna do it.
Okay. Good point. Tom?
I agree with Vince's statement. I think that either we go out and find an independent study that'll cover all aspects, or we're going to break it up into pieces. What's in question is really more at hand. Is the contracts in question? Is the money in question? Is there money missing?
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
I just would like some way to put the question to bed. Just address the question and move on. There's just too many good things going on not to move forward.
I guess it matter, what does it cost? I mean, how much you willing to spend to put rumors that have no basis to bed, that when we already have an independent audit
That we do pay for.
that we do pay for?
That we do pay for.
I don't know what we're doing different.
Right.
Why don't we ask for Hartman's report on the airport, with a copy of it, see what they looked at, since we've already paid them.
Sure, we ought to.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm open to laying this over, but I did want to get it on the agenda and start a talking point and see where it is. But I mean, I think it's something that needs to be addressed, and I think we are addressing it.
It'd take a while to read those contracts and
It
FAA
would take a
grants,
while. It would take-
but it would take a good accountant no time to read this for 12
The
months.
financial statements we could do in an afternoon.
That's exactly.
we can
There's
say-
a 2-hour
Yeah, I mean,
process.
And we could sample 70% of the transactions.
Pull out the checkbook, go
Yeah,
check by check in 2 hours. and
We
be done
could
in
look at
12
every
months.
transaction in the last 3 years in 3 hours.
Sounds like that wouldn't cost too much, it'd be good.
And that would be, now the contracts would be more difficult because there's a lot of lawyer stuff in those contracts. And then the FAA grants are true, but I mean, we got a lot of people looking at those FAA grants. I mean, Boca spends a lot of time doing it, and Aldot's the actual grantee. So, but I really want to move forward with this. And so,
Jack, does the city have an audit that's done every year on contracts? Because all of our contracts are passed through the city for the city to approve. Are they already?
I can't say whether, HB&K's been our auditor for a number of years, and I can't tell you if they go through, each contract. I can't answer that. We can get you an answer to that.
Yeah, if they've already done it, great. If they hadn't,
yeah.
we'll find out. Let's see what it says.
all right. So the spirit of it is we lay this over for next month, and we talk about it again. And I'll research getting Hartman, Blackman, Kilgore's working papers for the audit for last year or for this year, and Jack will research getting the grants, what the city does for
If
the
they go
grants.
through the contracts.
Okay. And again, the big thing is still the contracts, and I mean we can knock out the contracts. There's the Continental contract, there's the Mid Bay in Cedar Creek, and then we have a contract with Bushwhackers. I mean, those contracts are not that complicated.
To be perfectly clear, I have no problem with anybody auditing. I don't think the airport authority should go spend $10,000 or $15,000
Okay.
on something that's already been done if we have it in hand. If we don't, and we need to get it, then we need to get it.
Okay. All right.
But that's just my opinion.
Chip.
Sounds good to me. I mean, I'd like to, I'm the same way. I hate to spend money that we already spend, but it'd be nice to get the issue
Put to bed.
put to bed. We got more important things to worry about and do.
Okay, we will, my sense of it is we're gonna lay it over to next month and we'll investigate what we need to do. But I just think it's something that we do need to move forward on. Okay?
I agree.
All right. Oh, did I skip number 5? Well, I did skip number 5.
I thought it was just me.
I did skip number. So we're moving up now to the discussion of the west side of development. Really where we are, we've had a couple of inquiries about developing on the west side, but really nothing more than, we really haven't had anything since Christmas. Does anybody want to speak to the west side development? Yeah.
High Grade Valve still has interest in what we talked about, I guess, about November.
Yeah. We've been a little busy since then, but I mean,
If we can set up some time to.
yeah, I mean, Vic's he's the president of High Grade Valve, and they bought a piece of our property, about 9.7 acres before, and we would be very interested in it. They expressed an interest in cutting a road, which we did do the engineering. We did an engineering study preliminary on how much the road, on getting the road. A budget, yeah, how much it would cost. There's another party who's interested in that road too. So maybe we can do it. So I'll, if it's okay with you, we'll maybe get together next and talk about it. But y'all are still interested in,
We are.
okay.
But I'll just, if I could,
Sure.
as long as I'm not on some blog.
Yeah, I can't.
If we get involved in some blogosphere stuff, then have a nice day.
Thank you for that comment.
I think you just signed up.
Okay. Thank you, Vic. Okay. Now knowing that I can count, I'll go to 7, Vic. I don't want to fence.
Well, let's go back to
Okay.
5. Let's talk about 5 a little bit more. I mean, we talked about having some commercial realtors look at that and asking for some help with marketing, and they were at a couple of the meetings. I had to leave at least one of those meetings early. Did anything ever come of that? Any interest?
We could get a commercial real estate agent to take it and mark it on a, not for fee basis. We'd actually, would spend their dollar marking it. And I think there'd be 2 or 3 that would be interested in doing it. But what happens if somebody comes and says they want to buy the whole thing? Is that really what we want to do, or do we want to develop it for the benefit of the city in our time frame?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Depends on what the price is.
That's right.
You know what they want.
Yeah, depends on what the price is and what they want to do with it, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, they could, anyway, we could talk about those kind of options for.
Well, I can get other real estate. I can get other people in to talk about it. I think that at least 2 real estate professionals would like to develop a marketing package and sign up and basically have a year shot at it.
I think that we need to put together the plan that shows, we have a west side plan that has lots on it, but that needs to be really in concrete, something that you can market. Because if somebody said, well, I like lot 5 right there, all right, well, then we're going to have to go into scramble mode to really define what, lot 5 is and how much we want for lot 5.
Love me, love my dog.
Yeah, so we just need to take that next step and put that industrial park, is what I would call it there, together and say, what are the covenants, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what can you bring in here, and what do these lots look like, and how much are they?
And what kind of buildings are we going to build in there?
And we could ask a commercial real estate developer, say, well, if you do all this work for you, we may give you the exclusive rights to market it. And then we're not out any money.
Well, I know of 2 of those commercial developers commercial real estate people would do that. They would like the opportunity to do
Well,
that.
they put a plan together.
Put a plan together, subject to exclusive for 6 to 9 months.
I think that we ought to do it between the airport authority, and this is where you do involve the city and say, what is the city's vision for that? And say, all right, let's come to an agreement and let's, we need to do it. We need to do it. We need to set a deadline for doing it.
Okay.
Are these properties not already advantage sited?
They are on the
They are
advantage side.
They're already properly divided then,
Yeah.
correct? So
Property
That's
divided,
easier to
got all
market.
utilities and everything.
it's done. So,
But then you have the question of the road,
yeah.
which would be a key piece of that.
I've always heard that the city's gonna build their next sewage treatment plant on the southern end of that.
Well, no, that would all, the rumor's always been on the south side of Bishop Road. That's where the rumor's always been, which is not the west side.
I've always,
Good road to get back there, Jack.
well, we've got good land,
Right off
Jack.
of
We've got
Bishop
good
Road.
land. Okay.
Our sewer capacity, for the record, is less than half of this capacity, so we're good. We just having trouble getting it there. Allegedly.
That's because you have to pump it uphill. Okay. Any more discussion on the west side development?
No, but I agree with what Jack just said. If a couple of these realtors
Okay.
are willing to do that, expense for the opportunity to have a chance to be the exclusive over there, and then we could sit down and have a real proposal out there, I think it would
I
move
think we need
us
to
way
set a
down.
time frame for this.
With
We
the
need to
board's
come up-
permission, I'll approach two realtors and ask them to give us a proposal for for our February meeting. Okay? And now I welcome working with the city. I'm not,
Exactly.
I'm a little bit out of my wheelhouse.
I think that, Sherry Lee, our new employee, Economic Development Director for the city, should be an integral part of that and should talk to us and them as to what we want to accomplish out there.
And I'll share all my notes with you we don't want to reinvent the wheel. Great, okay. Okay. Now, I'll move now to 7. We sent out an RFP on January the 11th, a Friday, to refinance the $7,445,629 airport debt. We sent it out to 6 banks who expressed an interest, a good cross-section of regional banks and community banks. We asked for 2 things. We asked for a true fixed rate that would, none of these games 7 days beforehand. Got to say February 28th. This is what the fixed rate's going to be. And we said you've got we didn't put a springy mortgage in it, and we said we've got the guarantee of the city for 7 years. So my sense of it is we'll get really, really good proposals. I hope we get good proposals, and that'll be due on Tuesday the 24th. That's when what I propose doing is taking those 7 proposals that we get. I hope we get 7 proposals, putting them, categorizing them, putting them in a chart, coming back and having a special board meeting, maybe the Monday following that, and make a recommendation to the board as to which way we go.
What's the deadline, Joe?
The 24th, next Tuesday.
Of January.
Of January.
Oh, the 24th of January.
Yes,
So
sir.
you said the 20,
We're going to close the 27th.
Okay.
We're going to close the 27th.
Okay. All right, yeah.
February.
February, yes, sir.
Okay.
30 days afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So those rates have to be fixed they're not going to be indicative rates, they're going to be true rates. So, in rates, short 10-year treasuries have dipped down a little bit. So we're actually doing okay, not great, but okay. And I feel confident we'll get something we can live with. Right now we're paying 1.97 on an adjustable rate. It was in January. It'll be about 2.05 in February. It readjusts. I won't say what rate I anticipate, but I think that we'll be in that range for a 7-year fixed.
So we're talking about having those quotes a week from today,
Mm-hmm.
and then a board meeting a week or so later.
Maybe.
Special call.
Yeah, I'd like to spend some time reviewing them. I'll put them out in a kind of a format. I will make a recommendation. I don't think we should have a committee. I'll make a recommendation as to which one. What I probably will do is say, these are the 2 best. I'd like to negotiate with them specifically.
What Mondays y'all meet in February?
2nd and 4th, although, no, let me take that back. One of these meetings is on Mardi Gras. The 27th is the night before Fat Tuesday, so that was moved to the 22nd. I know that there are 2 to 3 council members that have a conflict with that date, so that actually might be moved, and I don't know which date it is going to be moved to, if it's
The
moved
other
at all.
one's the 6th,
The other one is the 13th.
13th. Okay.
Okay.
That leaves us 2 full weeks to give them something.
Okay. But I think we should make a recommendation and approval.
We'll have
and give
2
it
opportunities as a council
to touch it.
Yeah, if we need to.
Okay.
Before the 27th.
So I would like I would like the board to give me the authority to accumulate to accept the bids, to basically put them in a spreadsheet, and then we'll have and make a recommendation to the full board the last week in January.
You want a motion for
I
that?
want a motion to that.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Okay. Did you get that? All right.
Need to vote.
Thank you. All those in favor of the proposal?
All right.
Thank you. The final thing is there was a death in the treasurer's department. So we didn't get these out in a timely manner, but really, basically, the finances are pretty much kind of where they are. All the revenue sources came in on time. We didn't really have that many expenses in January. Pretty straight error month. Although we do have, we're having that contract. That FAA contract is going to be paid in big chunks, and we got our first big chunk of money sitting on the account, about $400,000. That'll go basically into our account, and then we'll pay AG John Walton for that. Anybody have any questions about the financials? Ray is out. Okay.
Why is there no, why is that ground lease not showing anything?
We only collect those ground leases in March.
Oh.
I mean, they
They pay that yearly?
Pay yearly, yes, sir. Not monthly. We don't accrue anything. I mean, we're a cash basis. We recognize things as we get it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I looked up that email. They've used 30% of their time and they're
Okay.
28% complete. What the email said. Used up 34% of their time. They're 28% complete.
Well, he said that when we were out there the other day, he said they're actually working 7 days a week. They were there Sunday. I mean, they're 7 days a week.
They're
So,
on the weekends.
yeah, it's a challenge. It's a big construction project. Other business, Chip?
Two things. One, I forgot to mention to you. I thought it was worth bringing up. I met with Sherry Schwartz. Is that her name?
Yeah.
With the police department.
Yeah.
And they're concerned about recent drone activity during events downtown. So I've gathered up most of the FAA guidance and regulations on drone operations, and she's working on a drone policy. And I told her that, we'll look at it, and probably it might be applicable that we just cover everything we want to do on drone policy, and we'll put it on our website. And so I think they're worried about liability issues, which I can understand. So there've been a couple events with drones in the last few weeks that have caused some people to get hurt seriously, and lawsuits are starting to fly. So they're going to come out with a policy. And if we like what they put down and it encompasses what we do at the airport, then we'll just put it on our website and adopt it also.
Jack, specifically, like at the Christmas parade, there were 2 drones going down and spinning, and they made great shots. And when those drones crashed into the crowd, somebody had some significant liability.
They just had a recent at a wedding. A drone hit 2 people they were filming the reception, I guess, afterwards, and hit 2 ladies. And one lady had about 24 stitches in her face. One had a broken nose and a broken eye socket.
Was it you telling me one hit the Space Needle?
Yeah, and one just hit the Space Needle this week, and they have it in hand. So whoever the owner is probably trying to hide out.
They're looking for you.
How accurate are those drones?
How accurate are they?
They're pretty accurate.
They're pretty accurate.
Hey, Jeff, were one of those drones flying around the Christmas parade, City of Fair Oaks drone?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
Was
good.
one of them hired by the City of Fair Oaks because they published all their videos on our Facebook page?
No, it wasn't our drone.
Okay.
But there are a lot of regulations that they weren't aware of. And one thing they were concerned about was, even these are FAA regulations, their jurisdiction, but I put her directly some verbiage and a link with the FAA that basically said in local situations like that, the FAA expects local law authority and gives them basically the right to enforce FAA regulations. So I think that was one of the questions.
They had a pretty good sized one flying arts and crafts last year too. Quite a bit up down the street.
That's all against the rules. So, I mean, this is all kind of new territory. You can get waivers from the FAA if you're a commercial operator, and they grant them. But I think one of the things is, right now, drones are not supposed to operate over people unless they are working in direct relationship to the drone operation, their employees, and the site that's been. So running up and down over civilians in the middle of Fairhope Avenue is not cool. So they're going to work on something like that, and
Good point.
we'll go forward with that.
Okay.
Also, I met with Pam, and we sat down, went over a bunch of security items, and kind of handed them off. Some she's going to do, and some I'm going to do. A couple of website issues. We're going to get a copy of our security plan and mail it to all the hangar attendants. And Kyle has been working on the ALDOT recommendations from their inspection, and he has been pressure washing the taxiway paintings, which was one of the things I think we got dinged for. And actually, it's worked well. Worked better. So what we're going to probably have to do is figure out at some point in time to close the runway so he can get the runway done. All that being said, that's a temporary fix, but eventually we're going to have
That number is right though. The number to repaint is $168,000.
Really?
So yeah.
Paint the numbers in the center line and the edge
All the
mark?
markings and taxiway and everything.
And I think we can get FAA money to do that.
I think, that's the first thing that's the first thing they're interested in is money for safety. So I think we could probably get FAA money for that. So we did that. Also, he had mentioned the south taxiway, which I had noticed, the very south one where the T-hangars are, it's starting to crumble, starting to cave in some areas. So we're probably going to have to think about getting some money to do some asphalt repair on that. Kyle knows who's done it in the past.
That was in the budget this year, in the FAA budget. But I really wanted to move forward with the east side, so
Okay.
we will. If you remind me next year, we'll get that in there. I promise you.
If it becomes something that's a safety issue, we can always just temporarily close the taxiway.
Okay.
So we can do that.
We got a corner on the building too there on the northwest corner of
That's about to
Continental
cave in.
Main hangar.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So those, one of the questions we had, do the fire and police have keys to the gates? They don't need them. The gates have a mechanism that a siren activates them to open automatically.
Wow.
So if the police and the fire department come up and they have to, they turn on the siren, the gate's all open. I did not know that.
Or anybody watching the live streaming now with a siren, get in there now.
Well, actually, another thing we did talk about.
And Dan McCrory has a card too. So I guess there goes our safety plan.
Some of the things we did talk about, well, one of them was access with the access cards. That's something I'm going to get with Kyle. They have a list, and probably something we need to monitor a little bit more closely with Continental's help on who has access and who has cards. Probably Kyle and I are going to sit down and go over the list and readdress that.
Chip, does that run through a security company, the access card?
I don't think so. I think
it's
they
just
order
the
them
gate
in
guy.
Continental. I mean, you have to pay $25 to get a card, and they know who has the cards.
I was wondering if it was tied to a Hunter Security or someone like that. We get a report every month of who was in and out and what time, and then if we had an incident, we would know whose card went in.
Was there. That is not part of it. We did discuss, Continental has talked about, and Kyle's boss had talked about getting some security cameras. And we talked about doing that and probably tying in a security company to monitor and putting them up.
We need fence line cameras. Pam's it's been one of Pam's reoccurring themes for the last 3 years. I've put her off till we got the new terminal built, but it's one of those things we probably need to do.
Well, it's something else Continental wants to, because they've got, their hangars are open and they want to, and if you're on a weekend, they have one line guy there. They want him to have monitors so he can see what's going on and who's around. So it's something that they want to do. I don't know if we do it jointly or they're going to fund it or what, but we talked about both the security gates, the civilian walk-through gate, and then they want to monitor the front of the hangar, their big hangar. So that's something that I think Kyle and I'll talk with Bill Stromberg.
Let's move forward with those cameras if that's, I mean, I'd like to.
That's high on our list. That's one of the things, and I'll get with Kyle and start moving with that right away. Tie down ropes, we talked about that at one of the meetings. You know, Continental puts new ones down there, so you know Kyle said he'll kind of monitor that to make sure they're in good condition. We talked about additional signage, which would kind of go with the cameras, which I think we need and what we need. So we talked about doing that. Those are kind of big dot items.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring up under other business, just as we're looking ahead to this east side construction. I had a conversation yesterday with Charlie Bassett, and we were talking about the T hangars, and they're very expensive to build and to construct. And you know, I don't know what the return on investment is if we just put a roof over, as opposed to an enclosed with sliding doors, just a roof over the planes. I mean, you're going to keep the sun off the planes. You're going to keep hailstorm unless it's blowing sideways, but I'd say that's pretty rare. It seems like the roof covers maybe 90% of the reason that you keep it indoors. Anybody have any experience with that? I mean, you just put the tie downs out there.
That's something Vince and I talked about when we were looking at the plat. And Tuscaloosa is a good example. They have them, and it's just you call it a shade hanger.
Yeah.
You taxi in, you taxi out. Your plane's in the shade from the sun. That's what most people want. A lot less expensive to build. I think a lot of people want the security of having their own hangar. We had kind of discussed both having shade hangers and T hangers. Because that's the one thing we do have. We've got, I don't know how long, but probably at least a dozen people on a waiting list that want a T hanger. But I think a combination of both would be ideal.
I've had 3 people in the last month call me about wanting to build T hangers.
But you know, they're just so, I don't know. I just wanted to know what the return on investment is of the shade.
You know what they've done at Gulf
10%,
Shores.
10-year return?
Probably. At Gulf Shores, I mean, the FBO has some hangars, but then they've had some independent people that have come in and built the hangars and kind of condoed them out. They form a corporation, they lease the land, they build the hangars, and then the people buy into the hangars. And so we could possibly very easily have a situation where someone wants to build them. We just lease the land, we get the money off the lease and fuel sales, and someone else goes through the construction.
Is there any room at all on the ramp on the west side to put
one
shade?
One spot. I mean, yeah, there's 100 by 80 feet. Yes, we could do that.
On the west side.
On the
You're
west
talking
side.
about that south ramp?
Yeah.
The only problem we have right now with that is that's where Continental puts airplanes if they have overflow.
Well, I was kind of thinking maybe they would be interested in doing that. I mean, they could probably command more rent.
You would, and it would be a high draw, low cost item, and I think it would be a lot of people would, it'd be a good alternative to a T hanger, and that's really down here. You want airplanes in the shade.
Right.
That's the most important.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to get a meeting with Bill Stromberg. If I will bring up the fence cameras and and those low. I mean, those aren't very expensive. I mean, I think he might be receptive to that.
Okay.
You can design a shade hanger that can eventually become a T hanger if you want to. So you just build the shade hanger to begin with, and then if the need arises, you can close it in later on. Spend a little money now, a little money later, while you're recouping your money. But I think we need some shade hangers.
Well, I mean, you put it on the sides, you just kind of enclose the ends. I mean, they don't even have to be solid wall. They could be, almost a solid wall, just to let a little air through, but it still would protect the planes on the ends. And then the planes, as they're parked next to one another, kind of protect each other.
What I've seen, you correct me if I'm wrong, Chip, historically, you're going to find the shade hanger guys are not going to fly their airplane. The T hanger guys are going to be meticulous, take care of the airplane and fly it. The shade hanger guys are going to park right by
park
gas.
there.
I was going to say all the returns will be on the guys buying the fuel.
So there's a give and take there.
That's a good
Is that correct, Chip?
I'll assume, but I think there's a demand for it, and I think you could fill them up.
Okay.
I mean, that's the big key in this environment.
We're going to be
Down
faced
there,
with these
keep the airplane
decisions
out
on this east side pretty soon.
Yeah, and that's
As to what it's going to look like.
Well, when Vince and I looked over the plat, re-wickered it a little bit where all the corporate hangars, it was all set up for we talked about, I think it was all set up for corporate hangars. And we kind of looked at where we'd have plenty of room for corporate hangars. And then the other side, it was kind of initially U-shaped. We thought south side for the corporate hangars, on north side room to build shade hangars and T-hangars.
Any other new business?
That's all I have.
I've got other business
Oh,
comments.
that's other business, yes. Other new business.
I know you put a lot of effort into it, Joe, and I know Pam put a lot of effort into it, and I know Jack put a lot of effort into it. I wasn't there. I was at a family Christmas party on Thursday night before Christmas, but I watched the presentation y'all made to City Council, and y'all did a fabulous job. I just want to say thank you. You can give my $5 later.
My daughter watched it in Atlanta. She thought it was good too, Jack. So,
Y'all got some good data.
I do have an announcement. On February 7th, on Tuesday night, Aviation Academy, something we support. Actually, we're the facilitator of that. Is having their annual open house to recruit new students, and we're all invited to attend. Everybody's invited to attend. It's a really good thing. They've got 115 students now, about 27 aviation students, about 45 welding, about 45 processing. So, if any of you have got a few minutes, it'll be a good thing to do to go out there and talk about careers in aviation.
I'll even show you. So.
Well, that's good. I'm actually, you're on the program. So February 6 o'clock, we'll be out there. And it's actually sponsored by the Baldwin County Economic Development Authority and the Baldwin County Board of Education.
I mean, you with Airbus and look at MAU over
You have to
there.
think so.
I mean, there's huge opportunities for jobs in the technical aviation and maintenance field. I mean, in Continental. I mean, that's huge.
So anyway, put it on your calendar if you got one. Any comments from the public? Come on.
I want to introduce
Sure. Yeah.
Sherry Lee Bowtop Bloodsworth over here in the blue dress. Bloodsworth Bowtop. Sherry Lee, double B.
Sherry Lee.
Hey there.
And anyway, she is the new Economic Development Director for the City of Fairhope, and is going to get involved with the airport and just maybe help us market or look for opportunities where they exist. And so we look forward to it.
Yeah, we're going on a tour on Thursday, so I'm looking forward to that.
Good.
Learning the lay of the land. And I would love to talk to you a little bit more about the 21st meeting and presentations and see if there's some time that we can discuss other opportunities, things, give me a little bit of time to catch up
Sure.
in the interim.
I was going to send you. I don't have your email. If you could send me your email address, I'll make sure you get on on our email chains.
That would be great. Thank you. I'll send it to you.
This is the first time we haven't had robust comments from the public in a couple of months.
Bill Stromberg's not here. I'll speak for him. Continental is packing up Southern Avionics today to move to Fairhope.
And he was going to have lunch tomorrow, but he blew me off. So we'll keep trying, Vince.
Got to move all his avionics stuff.
So more jobs. Anything else? Anybody else for the benefit of the group? If not, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank y'all.